Earlier on in the show, we were talking to Eric, who was showing us his fine collection of vintage scooters. Now he's let 4 out of his sight for me to have a play on. So we start with a Vespa GL. This is a 1957 model, very popular in the 50s, 60s and 70s, and it's a classic design which is still being used to this day. The Vespa GL is your run-of-the-mill scooter. The 125 engine is self-sufficient. There's no battery but a magneto, which acts as an alternator. It's just kick-start and go. This is the widest scooter you'll come across, and with the engine set to one side, it can make handling a bit tricky at first. You also have to keep a watch out for the gears, as it's quite easy to miss a gear during changes. Once you've got that sorted, you can sit back and cruise all you like. But you have to remember though that this is not a cheap bike. Back in the 1950s, you would have paid around £100. It's worth £3,000 now. Second in line is the Vespa SS90, first introduced in the early 60s. Now, I've got to be a bit careful with this because it's a bit rare, and I'm also told it's a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. They actually call this the SS90 Racer, thanks to its tuned engine which will power this thing to an amazing 90 miles per hour. The sports riding position is enhanced due to a dummy tank, and the lightweight construction and slim styling helps for great handling, and of course acceleration and speed. The SS90 would have cost you £200 back in the 60s and will now fetch £3,500. You have to remember though, for its size, this thing is fast. And third in line, and we've changed manufacturers, this is the Lambretta SX200, first introduced in the 60s and commonly known in the scooter world as the sex appeal. This is a follow-up to the TV200. The SX has a more balanced engine and also features dual shock absorbers and double engine mountings to reduce vibration. It was introduced in 1966 and instantly inherited its nickname of sex appeal, which was due to its slim, smooth classic lines, and of course the rider. Costing £150 or thereabouts back in the 60s, this again, like the others, would have been a shrewd buy, as it's now worth between £3,000 to £4,000. And last but by no means least, the Lambretta GP200. Now this was manufactured in the early 70s, and this was the last of the Lambretta designs. Now this one is a bit special because this is the 10th one ever made. With the largest scooter engine out at the time, the GP200 needed bigger brakes. Lambretta therefore introduced a disc brake as well as dual shock absorbers and a beefed up front suspension. Shorter in height than the average Lambretta, the GP benefits from a more streamlined look and feel, and with the throaty sound from the 200cc engine, it lives up to its Grand Prix name. In the mid-70s, this would have cost you £250, but this would certainly have been a wise investment, as today's market would fetch up to £4,000. So there we have it, 4 fine examples of vintage scooters. Now there's just one problem, I can't ride them all at once. So I've always wanted to be in a gang. Guys, let's do a bit of hell raising. Now I know it's not quite quadrophenia, but I think my gang looks quite cool. Bring back the 70s, that's what I say.